Good evening. The April 8th meeting of the Columbia City Council is now called to order. Council, I know this is good to be back in chambers again, so I'm going to ask that we follow a decorum, okay? It's hard to hear with your mask on if you talk, so when you need to talk, please take your masks off. If you don't need to talk, I'd request that you keep them on if you so choose to, okay? About a year after holding our meetings via teleconference, we are back in person tonight. It's good to see you all. Since we're back in council chambers, we'll resume some of our usual city council policies. As such, tonight's meeting will start with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. And I will lead both of those tonight, and we will proceed on the following week. So please stand. Please bow your heads. Father, we come to you with open arms and thankful hearts that we can be here again once to meet and deliberate and carry on the will of the Lord. We thank you for the blessings you've given us all. We thank you for the sacrifice that have been made for us to be here. We pray for those that have sacrificed in this pandemic and all the things we've gone through, God. We thank you for this city, for the resilience that we've shown, for the citizens, for our staff, for all those around us, God, but most of all for your hand upon us, your guidance and direction. Pray that you'll watch over us and protect us. You'll give us discernment, compassion, a caring spirit, comforting hearts. Let us do thy will in all things that we do. We thank you for the blessings you give us. Pray those upon this city. In your son's name we pray. Amen. Amen. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are now to citizen comment. I do have some cards tonight. I'm not sure. Let me just go through them real quick. Mr. Myers, I know you're here. It says for questions. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, I'll save you till the zoning item. James Brooks. Are you want to speak now? Is that what you want to speak now, or you want about the zoning issue?
About the zoning issue.
Okay, would you like to speak now or wait till that issue comes up?
Let's wait till the issue comes.
Very good. I'll keep your card right here. Mr. Rick Howell? Yes, sir. Would you like to speak now? No, I'd like to wait. Zoning issue? Yes. Okay. Mr. Jeremiah Hunter? Sir. Zoning issue or now? Right now. Speak, please.
Jeremiah Hunter, 314 East Twilight Drive. I'm just here to speak in general. I was in a good mood when I pulled up into the parking lot, and I'm usually not in a good mood when I come to speak for council. But after a year, I'd kind of been missing it. I did call into the council meeting, it was either a month ago or 6 weeks ago maybe, and one of my specific requests as a citizen was that my city council begin resuming in-person meetings because that's the way things should be. Elected officials should directly face their constituents. So I first came up here to say thank you, which is not something I'm accustomed to addressing council for. So I was thankful to say, hey, you know what, finally, of course I'm not taking credit for you guys making this decision. I'm just here to acknowledge that something I as a citizen did ask for is now happening. So I was appreciative of that. However, then I walked in the door and I saw a sign with words on it that said I had to wear a mask just to enter the chamber. So my question for the council would be, under what authority was that made, and where in state code was that authority granted to require so? I'm actually seeing two signs. I'm seeing one sign that says masks are requested, but then you go a little bit further and it says masks are required. So which is it? Now, the only reason I walked up here wearing this is because I had two LPD officers sitting at the door who literally would not let me in the door unless I put it on. So again, my question is, under what authority is that granted for any agent of the government to impede my ability to address my government? That is a direct infringement on all sorts of freedoms recognized in both the federal and Texas constitutions. So as much as I was here to say thank you, I'm also here to say we need to go further, back to restoring citizens' ability to freely address their government and not with all sorts of arbitrary impediments and infringements. So that's about it. Since I have 45 seconds left, I'll just say, regarding the proposed Starbucks location, I am not opposed to new business coming in. Of course, I would not do that. I would just express a concern about the specific location of that proposed site being on Gilmer Road, which I live off of, and during the busiest part of the days, if you're coming out of any of those shopping centers, you can't turn left across traffic because it's so busy. So my concern would be a high traffic location just adding to the possible congestion. And why was that developer who wants to place the location there, why were they not encouraged to go to the south side? When I'm pretty sure we all agree the south side needs new businesses, so why weren't they given more time to do that? So thank you very much.
I have no other speaker cards, so we shall proceed forward. We are now to the consent agenda. Any items the council would like to consider in separate discussion?
Move to approve.
D.
Oh, excuse me?
D.
Item D?
Yes.
Okay, any other items that need consideration? Mr. Pirtle?
I wanted to ask Robin, is this chip seal, was this included in our Keith, was this chip seal included in our consent item that we approved a month or so ago? Remember where we had that 1.3, 1.4 million? Was the
Yes,
chip
sir.
seal?
This is the change order
Okay.
to that contract. We actually had $1.4 million proposed in the budget for it, and we wanted to bring that savings forward and amend that contract to increase the work to take advantage of the 9% decrease in the bid that we received.
Okay, all right.
Anything else?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Was waiting for a roll call.
Me too. How nice is that? How nice is that? And Miss Angie doesn't even have to record the record of the vote. This is just wonderful. Good grief. What a difference a year makes. Okay, we're now to zoning. Our city planner, Angela Choi, will present the applications. Now for application S21-01. Ms. Choi.
Thank you, Mayor Mack, Mr. Bonds, and members of council. The applicant is requesting a specific use permit for a restaurant or a coffee shop with a drive-through window in general retail zoning district. A coffee shop is allowed in general retail zoning district by right. However, a specific use permit is required for the drive-through window within this zoning district to ensure no negative impact on surrounding properties. Staff did request that a sign be installed at the driveway on Gilmer Road stating no stacking is allowed on Gilmer Road. Also, an 8-foot solid wood fence was requested to be placed on the shared property line of this property and adjacent residential property. The applicant has provided these, and they are shown on this site plan. Based on the plans provided, the applicant also meets the City of Longview requirements for stacking spaces. Gilmer Road is a principal arterial roadway, and this use is appropriate along this area as long as access management is followed. Planning and Zoning Commission, along with staff, recommends approval of this request. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
This does require a public hearing, which is now open. We will now hear from Mr. Brooks. Yes, sir. James Brooks.
This is on D, the,
Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted D. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My fault. I have two cards. Mr. Howell, you're A. Pardon me, Mr. Brooks, my fault.
no problem.
I want to thank you for allowing me to voice my concerns with the Starbucks application for the special use permit. My wife, Pam, and I, my name is Rick Howell. I'm a long-term resident here in Longview at 1511 Pine Ridge. We've been the Subway franchisee here for about 35 years. We're concerned about the drive-through stack for Starbucks. Our Subway and the Valvoline oil change, you probably can see it on the map, we do share a single entrance off of Gilmer Road. We're concerned that the drive-through stack will interfere with our entrance. We have seen the other Starbucks location drive-through stacks back up into main roads at 2 different locations here in town. Gilmer Road is already a very busy street. We do not need anything to interfere with the traffic even more than what we've got. I was not aware that this would be up on the board, so my question was, do we have a drawing or a sketch of what the drive-through would be in the stack that they're allowing? So my concern is just literally just, you know, the traffic on Gilmer Road and the drive-through stack backing up as it does in some of the other locations.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming forward and commenting with us. I don't have any other speaker cards on that item. Do we have any discussion from council for Ms. Choi?
Got a couple of questions.
Mr. Moore?
Angela, so far, the applicant has complied with every one of our Uniform Development Code requirements vis-a-vis site plan,
Yes, sir.
zoning, and everything. And the vote of the Planning and Zoning Commission was unanimous?
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Wright?
Angela, we're going to have a sign, no stacking on Gilmer Road, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So what happens if people do start stacking there? I mean, I realize we can send the police, but if that becomes a common problem, what are we going to do about it? Now that this place, Starbucks will already be there, we're not gonna, I guess, at that point say, well, you have to shut down because they're stacking all the time out there. How are we gonna handle that?
So usually, unfortunately, the police department does handle stacking into the street.
Right.
They deal with that on the loop with the other Starbucks, as well as some businesses along Highway 80. So the police do enforce that.
I have a question, Ms. Choi.
Yes, sir.
And I don't, this just came to my mind. I don't drink Starbucks, I don't drink coffee, but I'm curious. I see the design that we have on this, and it appears the ingress and egress with 2 different streets and two locations. How does the amount of space there compare to the one that's on the corner of Eastman Road and, is that Del or Hollybrook? No.
Wall Street.
Wall Street.
Yes, sir.
How does
This-
that compare? Because I go by that one a lot, and I see them, you know, their cars are wrapped around, but they stay in a line. How does this compare? Do you know size-wise? And I'm sorry I didn't ask you this before, and it just popped into my head.
I couldn't tell you size-wise. That lot is a little bit, it's narrower.
It's very narrow.
It's very narrow, but it is longer. Their lot is it is longer. But back then when they built that Starbucks, we actually did not have stacking requirements in the zoning ordinance with any of the Starbucks or any drive-through restaurant. When we adopted the UDC, we actually put in stacking requirements, queuing requirements. And so for this Starbucks, they do comply with our stacking requirements, which is 10 stacking spaces.
So my question is, do we ever have a problem with stacking at that other location? Do we ever have the police have to go out and deal with that? Because I'm curious.
I don't know, to be honest with you. I know we have stacking issues on the one on the loop, yes, sir, but not,
Okay.
I don't know about the one on Wall Street.
On Wall Street and 259. Okay, thank you. That's just a question I had.
Yes, sir.
Has Starbucks been helping with the stacking issues there, or are the on the loop or by Albertsons?
I don't know. Again, I know that the police department has probably been out there a couple of times, and I think that they've tried to organize them a little bit better in that parking lot.
I know I've seen in that lot where they used to come straight in off of the loop. Now they have them going parallel to the loop across the areas of parking spaces, and they have to leave a gap where people can still go through, like going to the other stores at Barron's and places like that. I've seen them come around like that, so I think that's probably how they get around the stacking in that parking lot. I didn't know about the other one because I don't do Starbucks, but interesting. Okay, any other questions of Ms. Choi? If so, public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion on this item?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're now at a public hearing. Consider application S2102. Ms. Choi.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting a specific use permit for lots 3 through 6, block 3776 of Winchester Park Unit 3 to allow for a duplex in general retail zoning district located at 104, 106, 108, and 110 Cherry Lane. All 4 of these structures are duplexes and they are located in general retail zoning district. Duplexes are not permitted by right in general retail zoning district in the Unified Development Code. The current structure that is there is considered legal nonconforming. However, 106 Cherry Lane was damaged due to fire. When a structure is damaged more than 51% of its total appraised value, the structure needs to be brought up into compliance. Therefore, the applicant is applying for a specific use permit. Staff does find that the proposed SUP is consistent with surrounding uses. Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval of this request. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
This does require a public hearing, which is now open. Or anyone like to speak on this issue? If not, public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion, council?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're at public hearing, item C, considered application Z21-04. Ms. Choi.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting a rezone of approximately 1.217 acres for part of Lot 8 and 9 of the El Woolley Tract subdivision from single-family to general retail zoning district located at 109 Magnolia Lane. The applicant would like to build an office and possibly an apartment at this location. Magnolia Lane is classified as a local roadway. Retail and office development is appropriate along this roadway as long as access management is followed. Staff finds that the proposed zoning change is consistent with surrounding uses. Planning and Zoning Commission and staff recommends approval of this request. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
This also requires a public hearing, which is now open. Anyone wish to speak on this item? If not, public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion?
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item D, public hearing, consider application Z21-05. Ms. Choi.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting to rezone approximately 4.339 acres of lots 7, 7E, 7G, 7H, and 11 New City Block 546, Longview Jordan acreage from multifamily MF2 and MF3 to single-family 6 zoning district located 1800 and 1810 Tryon Road. The applicant is proposing to develop a 26-lot single-family subdivision. This portion of Tryon Road is classified as a collector. Collector roads provide for the collection and distribution of traffic between arterial and local streets. This type of development is appropriate along this roadway as long as access management is followed. Staff finds that the proposed zoning change is consistent with surrounding uses. Planning and Zoning Commission, along with staff, recommends approval of this request. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
This also requires a public hearing, which is now open. Anyone wish to speak on this item? And I know Mr. Brooks, it's your turn now. Thank you, sir.
You know, I've been there for a lot of years, this house here. I've watched you y'all clean up Highway 8 along with the police force. You're doing a great job cleaning up Highway 8. But by the time you put the streets and everything in this, you're gonna run about 8 houses per acre. 8 houses per acre. Our fire department is not gonna be able to fight these houses because there's gonna be a pasteboard press siding on them. If one catches on fire, it's gonna be tough for our fire departments here. We're risking their lives. Besides that, when you put this many houses on this little land, it's just like apartment houses. I've got one across the street. You've constantly got trouble there. You know, if y'all approve this, a lot of us are gonna sail. A lot of the old people at my age gotta go. Because we're there now, we've got a nice neighborhood, we have no trouble, but when you put these low income or affordable housing, you call it, it's fine. But I would like to see these houses cut down to a reasonable amount per acre. 4 per acre would be a nice spot on that. But 8 is gonna be crowded for anybody living there. And like I say, we need something actually comparable to what we got. If you cross Tryon Road right there, you got little small 3.2s. I've got a 3.22 there. Right down from it, they've got a nice home without a garage, but they keep it up. We've got a nice little neighborhood there, and that's what we want to do is keep our neighborhood, because if these goes in, and if you go on 7th, 8th, and 9th Streets, look at some of the affordable housing over there they built not too many years ago. That siding is actually rotting off. They're not being kept up. And this is what we're gonna get in our neighborhood. We need some houses that's built accordingly, maybe bricks on them, or some kind of good siding on it that's gonna hold and not rot, because they just throw these houses together with the cheapest materials they can find. That's why they're called affordable housing. I agree, that's every person's right in this country to own a home. But to own a home in these conditions is all gonna be trouble for them, because they're cheaply built. And like I say, the sides riding off of them, and the fire is there. One catches on fire, you can't even drive a fire truck in down between the fight. It's gonna be hard to fight a fire. The medical is gonna be tough to get into there. But like I say, I was out of state. I come back just to speak here tonight. But we cannot allow that many houses on 1 acre. We need to cut the houses down per acre and do a decent house for these people that's gonna be living there. Is my biggest thing. Cut the houses down. We don't need a house that far apart. We need some space in between there. If we have to get medical personnel, we have to get firefighters down there. We need to space these houses out. And that's my biggest concern is, like I say, the neighborhood, it may go down, it may not. We may get good people there, but they still need a good, decent house to spend the rest of their lives in. One, if they're sold, they can be able to live in that house, get paid for it, retire there, and die there in that house. And that's what we need to do when we start looking at affordable housing, is to have houses built that they can stay there. Like I say, 8 houses per acre is just not getting it. If y'all want to go look at some of the houses on 7th, 8th, and 9th, I invite you to, and see what's happening to them. Because I drove a school bus over there. I used to drive a school bus. I retired early, drove a school bus. And I worked all them areas back in there. They're not kept up. Sides is rotting off of them. So we're just going from one slum to another slum in 5 to 8, 10 years. It's going to be the same thing. If the council lets them build the cheap houses they're wanting to build. So that's all I got to say. We need to change the amount of houses and build a good house for people to buy and die in. Because it takes y'all have financed houses, you got 30 years to pay for them. We want our houses that these contractors built to last for 30 years at least. And I don't see what they're building now lasting nowhere near that. 15 years maybe at the tops. And they're time to tear them down. We've got to watch what we build if we want our city to grow. You know, I'm old. My years winding down, but I would like to see these areas revitalized, but not in a way like this. I would like to see them revitalized with good, solid houses. And that's not what we're getting here. That many houses on 4.39 acres, minus about 3 streets they got to put in there. So you're looking at 3 acres, maybe a little bit more. Do you know what them houses are going to look like in there? Like a can of sardines crammed together. I'm asking you to vote it down and send it back, and let's relook at this and cut these houses down in this addition, so we don't have people stacked on top of each other. You stack houses on top of each other, you've got trouble. You have more trouble in areas like that, in apartment buildings and stuff like that. But when you give a person a nice, decent home, the trouble goes away. And that's what I want this city to do, is to stop all these houses per acre. And make them put codes on these houses that want to build for affordable housing. But that's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, I see Mr. Holyfield out there. Would you like an opportunity to talk about your development, or do you want to just?
Sir, have you ever seen a house that I built?
You build one out down the street from them?
Have you ever seen a house that I built?
Who you build with?
Okay, I built with myself.
No.
Okay, we're not proposing cheap housing in there.
Well,
We're proposing affordable housing to meet the demand in the United States right now.
Right.
Housing costs has soared over the last 6 months.
Hey, Tom,
Interest rates,
Tom, be speaking in the microphone, please. People can't hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
housing prices have soared. When we started this subdivision, we were looking at bringing affordable housing and trying to bring the houses in the $145,000, $150,000 range. The latest estimates on these houses are gonna be somewhere in around 175,000. Most of the houses that are built or existing houses in that area currently aren't $175,000 houses. So I beg to differ on what you're proposing being built, but
Could you
I
give
know
me an
what,
example where you built it?
I developed a 80-unit subdivision in Hallsville called Germantown. I'm currently in,
I got a question for you.
yes, sir.
Is that what you're proposing to build?
Time out. Hey, time out. You have to address us.
Okay.
And you've had your turn. Y'all,
Okay.
if y'all want to discuss
I
your thing,
apologize.
y'all gotta go outside and do that, okay?
Okay.
You have to talk to us, and sir, you can't interrupt, okay? Thank you, sir.
All right. We're proposing to build nice, I'm not gonna, with the escalating costs, we're probably looking at some kind of concrete siding on the exterior versus brick. Originally, we were looking at a brick siding in there, but we're also going back in and proposing probably some kind of cement siding in there. These are slab foundation homes, not pier and beam foundations. I've built numerous houses. I built a bunch of houses on 2nd Street when there was just vacant area. I built 3 or 4 houses, and then a bunch of houses ballooned up there. I built some houses on Yates Street in a subdivision that hadn't been developed. All of a sudden, I built 3 or 4 new houses in there, 5 or 6 pop up in there. You know, I'm in the mortgage industry. There's a huge need for affordable housing. It's almost impossible to buy a house currently under $200,000, and we were trying to build something. I've sat on this land for probably 10 years, and originally I pushed something through the city for a multifamily. I was gonna build like 48-unit apartment complex or townhouses in there. 10 years goes by, now we're proposing housing in there. And also, you know, since I got your attention, the SLIP program went into effect in 2000. The boundaries were amended in 2009. Across the street is the SLIP program. And to help build affordable housing for our customers, we would like to see if there's any way that this neighborhood could be incorporated into the Longview SLIP program to help to defer the cost of, you know, water taps and sewer taps in there also. I know that's up to y'all, but I mean, that would save our homeowners about $5,000 to $6,000, which allow us to build affordable housing and put a better product out there. So anyway, any questions or anything that?
Any questions, Mr. Holyfield?
What is this SF4, Angela? SF5?
They're requesting, he's requesting SF6.
Oh, that's the new one.
That's yes, sir, it's the new zoning
What
category.
is your problem with putting brick on the outside of these structures?
It's the escalating business cost. I mean, you know, you've been in the building business, if I'm not mistaken,
Well,
haven't you?
you're telling me that Hardy's, and the labor to paint the Hardy and everything's cheaper than to put the brick up.
I'm saying when you're building a 1,250 or 1,300 square foot house, every dollar cost. And the difference between brick versus a Hardy, yes, I mean, you're talking about a couple $1,000s. Well, a dollar per square foot.
I'll differ with you a little bit there because I've done them both ways. But
Okay.
if you're doing it for size, I would rather, we had a subdivision over in Spring Hill where we put brick around it specifically for this fire reason. You know, I'm just a pro masonry person. Hardy's great, but it still has to be maintained too over the years.
Brick has to be too. I mean,
I'm not saying any brick had to be maintained, but, you know, but would it change the designation to go to SF5? How many?
So I think the reason for the SF6 is they have 26 lots in there. Their lot sizes didn't comply with SF5, and so they requested SF6.
So
What is SF6?
I'm sorry?
What is SF6?
SF6 is 40-foot wide lots, 80-foot deep, 4,000 square foot.
So the street's already there.
The street is not there. They're proposing a public street.
Okay, I asked this a few years ago and got blasted by it. Is it gonna kill the deal to go from SS6 to SS5? How many lots you gonna lose?
Listen, I don't have to build this neighborhood. I'm trying to build affordable for housing, and at the end of the day, if I've already agreed to put sidewalks through the neighborhood and stuff like that, my lot costs are $21,000, my cost. I'm trying to build a $165,000 house. The market's not there to build in that area. I'm already at least $30,000 above the cost of any house in that neighborhood. You're just trying to add cost and more cost to a neighborhood that doesn't support the value of a $200,000 house.
I can get into a match with you all day long on it, but I'm not, but,
Well, I
okay.
understand, but I mean, that's, you know, the numbers, it's not like we're sitting there trying to get rich on building this neighborhood. I see it every day, comes across my desk as far as trying to build affordable housing. I have people screaming and yelling because they can't buy a house under $200,000 in Longview.
No, I understand that, I know.
Well, I'm trying to do something good for the city and do good for the
Well,
residents of Longview.
but our side of it is we have to weigh both sides. We've got to see what that customer, that is a citizen, is looking at versus what you're trying to do for a profit's looking at. So I'm in the middle here right now, looking at both ends of it, because I do know the cost of a lot of this stuff, labor cost and material cost. I see it every day too. So it's, you know,
I'm currently in the process of developing a 275-unit subdivision with the city of Marshall. And I haven't ran into these huge issues through them. If the city's gonna grow and develop, there's gonna have to be some give and take to make it happen. The tax revenue on 26 houses in that subdivision is well over $100,000 a year, based on school taxes, city taxes, and all that.
I think, Tom, is it accurate to say that Union Development Services worked quite a bit on the design? I mean, I was involved.
Yes, we went back and forth. We've been working
Yeah.
on this for almost 6 months.
Right, so, I mean, it's been a process that you've given some and we've given some and have come up with this that's been approved at this point. But, you know, wasn't like you've gotten everything that you asked for, and this is where we are.
Yes, because we originally had 28 lots proposed.
Mr. Holyfield, do you have any property, I mean, that we can look at, that we can see? I know you don't have any here in the city of Longview, but I would like to see the type of housing you're proposing for.
I mean, I can give you, I mean, this is something in general, but I mean, can I propose?
I guess so.
I mean, this is, I mean, that's something similar to the floor plan. That's the back of the house and stuff like
Okay.
that.
I mean, is that, Angela, is what we're talking about right now, is that something that we're approving, or that meets our code and that's just the way he's developing it?
Yes, it's everything, I mean, obviously, we couldn't have gotten this far if this development hasn't met all of our codes and our regulations, correct?
So he is going through the plating process to divide the lots. And we're halfway through the process. Of course, we need the zoning change first in order to approve the pre-submission proposal. As far as construction of the homes, as long as they meet the building through the permitting process, and as long as they meet
About the siding of the house, brick and whatever, is really, we're approving the
zoning.
integrity as a builder and what materials he chooses to use.
That
Am
is
I-
correct.
Okay. Can I
Yes.
move to close the public hearing?
We're getting, yes, we're getting a long way off topic. Our zoning 101, we're trying to, we're not going to approve the zoning. And after that, our codes, in order to put a building codes, you got to meet our fire codes too. I mean, just can't get into. That's never going to happen in this community. Are not something that we're going to discuss right now. Is, are we going to approve this zoning issue or not? And that's where we need to maintain our focus. So if there's no other discussion, I'm going to close this public hearing.
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We are now to action item. Consider a resolution awarding a contract in the amount of $5.4 million to the construction of Broughton Park and Recreation Center. Mr. Karen.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Mr. Bonds. It's good to be here this evening. The comprehensive plan listed improving existing and updating existing facilities as top priority. The park's master plan went further to list exploring indoor recreation facilities as one of its top priorities as well. Broughton Recreation Center is one of our 5 indoor facilities that we operate. It was selected for expansion due to its popularity, its use, and its ability to expand. The goals of this project were to improve the facade and renovate the entrance, relocate the branch library, provide additional indoor basketball court, expand parking, tie the recreation center and park together, extend the outdoor trail, and resurface the outdoor basketball courts. We wanted the facility and the park to be inviting, engaging, and functional, and we believe that we've done that. So on the left, you can see an aerial of the current park and the current conditions of that facility. On the right is the concept plan that we developed for this project. As you can see, the recreation center would be expanded to the south, and the parking lot would be expanded further to the south. One of the most interesting parts of this is tying those 2 facilities, the recreation center and the park, together through a promenade, and I'll have a picture of that coming up in a minute. And then also, you see further to the east the extension of the very popular walking trail in Broughton Park. Also, we would renovate the existing basketball courts as well. So the current exterior is on the top left. As I mentioned, the facility is 40 years old. It's a very institutional look and feel, and there are no windows in the facility. The one on the right is from the same angle, but it is a little bit different. Brings in the similar brick, but has the windows, brings in some colors. And again, specifically, we chose a green that is similar to the Lobo green, again, to tie into the community.
That looks awesome.
And then the other view from the park, kind of the park looking back, again, is dramatically different. And this is a little bit of that promenade I mentioned, a little covered area, because we have a number of outdoor events that go from the indoor to the outdoor. And so this provides a little bit of a covered area to have some vendors set up and those kind of things in addition to the park space itself. So quite a transformation that this facility would experience. And I think just by seeing this, I think everybody would be excited and really welcomed into the facility where they're not right now as much. So when you take a look at the actual floor plan, you can see the existing facility is on the top part. There are 3 main areas that would be renovated. A lot of the space would be renovated overall, but the ones that the 2 areas that I'll point out, one is the esports room. Esports are gaining in popularity immensely, and not only in youth, but in adults as well. And this would be an area that we could train people, as well as have competitions, and have our own teams to be able to compete against other places or locations and those kind of things. It would also serve as a computer lab in a lot of ways, which serves South Longview, which would be a great asset. The green area is a fitness. We have a very, very tiny fitness area. I think it has like 4 pieces of fitness equipment right now. So we would extend the fitness areas and be able to have both weight training as well as cardiovascular. Again, right now there's not much on the south side as far as indoor fitness is concerned, and so this would provide an opportunity for those individuals. The new space is the gymnasium, and as you can see, the gymnasium there that we're presenting is much larger than the one that is existing, because it would be at a full NBA court, which is 94 feet, as opposed to the one right there that is 74 feet. It would also be much wider to be able to accommodate games and then a full set of spectators, which again, if you've ever been to a game at Broughton right now, everybody is right on top of each other. Another exciting part of it is, if you've ever been to Broughton, you know the library is in the back of the building. We wanted to move that to a more prominent location because a number of individuals come to that facility just to visit the branch library, and so that would be in the front of the building. And again, if you see this this front left has those windows to have that glass exterior and lighting available in there. Would be more designed specifically for library setting. And then a reception area to welcome people within the facility. So we've nearly doubled the size of the facility to just under 30,000 square feet. Bids were opened on January 26th. It's taken us a while to get to where we are. We did receive 5 bids. So we are recommending awarding the contract to RLM Enterprises, approving change order number 1 for a total price of $5,402,968. And again, that change order 1 is a deduction, and those are for value engineering because it was over budget at one time. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Two quick comments before we get into discussion. First off, the bid is for $5.4 million, and our bond proposal was for $5.7 million, correct? So we have about a $340,000 savings, is that correct?
Actually, I think it was the other way around. I think we had 5.4, the overall bid came in at 5.7. So
Mine says 5.4 here.
the award would be for $5.4 million.
Okay.
So the bond funding was for about 5.7, or
So-
5.4 million. So that's where we had to get it down, that project down to that cost.
So tell me where we are as far as the bid versus what was in the bond package.
Pretty much everything that we had expected to be in there is in there. We did have to do a couple of deductions. One of them is a splash pad. We were
Okay.
going to renovate the splash pad in association with this, so we had to take that part out. A lot of the other items are just changing fixtures out instead of putting wall paneling in, just painting instead. So a lot of it is just in those items to reduce the cost.
It's an incredibly wonderful renovation of that area. It's going to be a fantastic addition for our parks and our citizens, and I applaud everyone involved with this because this is a monumental task and a wonderful improvement of where we are and where we're moving forward. Mr. Wade, I know you have something to say about this. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, right?
Compliment Mr. Karen and Mr. Bonds and everyone for doing this. I was 40 years ago, I was a little kid going to the opening of the original Broad and Recreation Center. And I can't wait to be there for the opening of this one. So thank you guys so much, and other council members, it would be my honor if I could move to approve it whenever we're ready.
You shall. The only other thing I wanted to say is, the only thing that you won't be excited about is that it's now 94 feet instead of 74. I got you on the 94. I couldn't get going at 74, Ray. I needed 20 more feet. I'm old. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Is there any other discussion from council?
It's been really difficult over the past 6 months since I first saw the artist renderings to keep this under wraps because it's just really exciting to have something I think that is beautiful and wonderful and will mix in with our community.
It looks like something you'd see on a college campus. It's really, really a wonderful addition.
Another thing that's great about it is that we still have room there if in the future there's other
Yes.
development in those other areas out in the park.
Fantastic.
As it may happen, so.
We are
thank you,
ready
guys.
for a motion.
Wait,
Oh, okay.
how long does the contractor have to complete the project?
Sure, great question. So it's a 13-month contract. We anticipate them starting somewhere around June 1st. It typically takes 45 to 60 days. By the time we route contracts, get insurance, they line up all of their subs and do all those kind of things. So somewhere around June 1, I would anticipate. Again, don't hold me to that. But so then 13 months from then, so you're looking at probably the end of summer. Again, that's weather pending, but the end of summer 2022, early fall 2022.
Thank you.
So once it's completed, Ray, I challenge you to a free throw.
My money's on Nona. I've seen Ray shoot.
I've put some time in.
No legs, no legs. We're ready for a motion.
With great honor, I move to approve this action item. and
I
accept
second
the
it,
bid.
no doubt.
Yeah.
Good job.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Karen.
Great job.
We are now to item of community interest. Mr. Moore.
First, I would like to congratulate Mayor Mack and Councilman Wade on being distinguished alumni of Longview ISD. Well deserved.
Thank you,
You
sir.
guys graduated several decades behind me, but hey, that's good. Second, I want everybody to mark their calendars that 3 years from today, April 8, 2024, we're going to have a 100% solar eclipse in Longview, Texas.
We'll expect you back to remind us of that, Mr. Moore, okay?
I'll be here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Snoddy.
Good evening, everyone. Citizens of District 2. Please join me Saturday, April 17th, from 12 to 2 p.m. at Lear Park Complex, 100 H.G. Mosley Parkway, for a drive-through community event. No need to get out of your car. We got it in the bag. It's an event just to say thank you for supporting me as your city council representative for the last six years, and I hope that we can continue our journey for the next 3. So come on out while supplies last, completely contactless, and we hope to have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you, Nona. Mr. Wade.
Yes. Last Saturday, April 3rd, District 3 hosted a drive-through vaccination clinic, and it was an amazing day. We started at 10 a.m., and there were cars that were lined up at 10 a.m., and it was just a beautiful event. And I just mainly would like to thank everyone that made that happen, starting with you, Mayor Mack. You're one of the first phone calls I made discussing this, so thank you for your support. Longview Police Department, we couldn't have done it without them. They stepped right in, told us how we're going to organize this as far as the drive-through, and it went smooth. So to Chief Bishop and his staff and the guys, thank you very much for that. Longview Fire Department was there just in case we had any reactions, and thank God that everyone went through it safely with no problems. Longview Fire Department, as I mentioned. Parks, Mr. Karen, thank you again. C Trilogy Comprehensive Clinic provided the vaccines. There was a whole host of volunteers, from nurses, people who came in on their off days to volunteer their time. It was just a really good day, and I can't thank the city enough. Councilwoman Snoddy came out, was directing traffic out in the middle of MLK. Thought she was going to get hit, but she was out there doing her job, and thank you for that. So everyone involved, I can't thank you enough. Thank you very much. And we'll be back for the second vaccination on May 1st. Thank you guys very much.
Ray, I want to just take just a minute to thank you for being such a proponent for your district and for the people in the community that needed an additional avenue to get this vaccine. We've had so many different groups step up and do things out of the ordinary to help get people vaccinated that want the vaccine. And so I appreciate your tireless effort. He wore me out on this. He just wore me out. And finally he wins, and I'm so glad he won, because this is a great thing for the community. And I know it seems easy, but you don't understand all the moving parts that go into something as simple as a drive-through clinic.
There's a lot.
It just doesn't, you don't put a sign up like a garage sale and people just show up. It's not that easy. And so thanks for your persistence, and the people that came out and got their vaccine. Thank you for coming out and getting your vaccine, and those that help. It's been a wonderful effort, and thank you, Mr. Wade.
Thank you.
Ms. Ishihara.
Nothing from me.
Mr. Wright.
Yes, first of all, Ray, I want to thank you for everything you've done down in your area, from the Thanksgiving meals that you've done to this. You've done a phenomenal job down in that district. And I did have my vaccination here. Well, I've had both shots here recently. I did have J.P. Steelman administer my first shot. I think he broke the needle off in my arm. I'm not sure. But no, he did a good job on that. Next weekend, the 16th and 17th, is the Longview-Grayton Rotary Rodeo, PRCA Rodeo. And we'd like the whole community to come out. Hopefully we get some fantastic weather. We haven't been so fortunate here the past few rodeos, I don't think. So hopefully we'll get some great weather. There's mutton busting for kids and a couple other things for the kids. And on Friday night, anybody who wants to come out, they'll wear pink, because it's tough enough for pink on Friday night. And that's to support breast cancer. And we will be, the Texas Oncology will be sponsoring that night. And then Saturday night, I think, is Peters and somebody else. I'm not sure who else is sponsoring Saturday night, but I want to thank all of them for their help sponsoring our rodeo. And come on out.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Pirtle.
He took mine.
Well, echo it, that's good. It's
No,
gonna be a
that's
great
fine.
night.
I do want to say something. We've taken a lot of hits for a year here, all 6, 7 of us up here, and we've held together pretty good. The COVID brought the best out in us and the worst out in us, and I'm not just speaking of us up here. There's been a lot of talk about masks and shots and everything else. To me, it's each individual's choice. I chose to wear the mask. I chose to take the shots. I chose to do the best I could do, not only to protect myself, but my family, my wife, my grandkids, and the people I interact with every day. So if that is throwing it towards the rest of the community as an example, I hope that we are good examples for everybody else, because Mayor Mack set the tone for us. We gave him the opportunity to do that. He did it really very, very well for us. And I'm proud to wear this every day. I don't wear it at work as much because I can't, but I'm proud to wear it when I go in and out of places. And I'm proud that people see me and then they automatically put theirs on. So I think it's an individual choice. I don't think anybody needs to be chastised for it or belittled for it. So I just wanted to tell the rest of you, thank you for the example y'all are throwing, and I hope I can hold that example up with you and we keep wearing them for a while.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Bonds?
I don't have anything.
Very good. Just a few things. I'm excited that we got together again tonight, gang. It's good to see all you all in person. I want to just shout out to city staff who have just rolled with every punch that's come our way. You've taken punches in every direction, and you did the teleconferencing seamlessly. You kept us all in the loop. You kept things rolling, and now you're back in action again here, and I appreciate that, setting the room up to make us all feel comfortable and safe. That's just a testament to what a wonderful staff we have here at the City of Longview. We'll slowly get our meetings back to normal, where we'll continue to have public safety updates in the near future. We'll have our community recognition, our employee recognition, things like that. But for now, we're going to keep them as quick and short as possible until we feel a little bit more comfortable about where we're doing. Those things are just add-ons, but we'll continue to do city business as we have been and in the best way possible to try to keep us all safe and healthy. So I appreciate y'all's indulgence in this, and we will look forward to seeing you again in a couple weeks. Scholarships. Next week's the last week for seniors for LISD, Pine Tree, Spring Hill, and Hallsville to apply for a Mayor Mack scholarship. Applications are due by April the 15th. So learn more and apply online at longviewtexas.gov/scholarships. It's a $2,000 scholarship for each school, a total of $8,000. My stipend and Miss Ishihara's stipend are the ones that go together to do this scholarship. So I look forward to reading the applications and naming the winners and getting y'all off to a good start in your college education. Boards and commissions. You can make a difference in Longview by volunteering for one of the city's boards and commissions. We are accepting applications for new board and commission members through April the 30th. To learn more, visit longviewtexas.gov/boards. And lastly, our COVID update. Just to bring you up to date where we are in our vaccination clinic, the My Shot Now hub at the fairgrounds. We have done a total of 51,734 doses. First dose is 30,187. Second dose is 21,547. Total of 51,000 plus doses. Ladies and gentlemen, that's an incredible number of vaccines to be given in our community. And that's just the My Shot Now clinic. That doesn't include the shots at the drive-through clinics and at the regional clinics and the pharmacies and the Sam's and the Walmarts. So our community is really on its way to having a large number of our populace vaccinated, and they're more and more available to anyone that wants them now. There's no restrictions. You can sign up and get doses pretty much anywhere you want to. So if you want to be vaccinated, you have the opportunity, and I appreciate everyone that's been involved in getting these vaccinations out to the public and all those that have chosen to get the vaccinations. Once again, that is a choice, and we look forward to giving you freedom of choices. And let me just address one thing. You have freedom of choice to wear a mask if you don't, or not wear a mask. That's up to you. And outside, that's a public opportunity. The state has lifted that mandate that was upon us, and that is no longer upon us. So that is a freedom of choice. We also have the freedoms and the leeway within city government to make any mandate that we so feel necessary for our public safety. And we have not required masks in City Hall. You can come in and out of City Hall. If you so choose not to wear a mask, that's up to you. But my opportunity here is if you're in city council chambers, we're going to wear masks. That's just my recommendation. It's my authority to do that. And so that's what we're going to do in council chambers. Outside those doors, you do not have to wear a mask. But in council chambers, in closed situations, people are close together, I require masks. And that's where that's coming from. So no one's forced to wear them. You can stand outside if you don't want to come in here until you want to speak. You can speak and go back out. But if you're going to enter these chambers, we're going to wear masks until we feel more comfortable about where we are. So just so we understand that. So I appreciate everyone's indulgence. Thanks for coming. I appreciate all y'all that have been watching. And thanks to all of you that talked to us over the teleconference. You were very engaging, and even though it was a little bit more difficult, I appreciate the time people took to still make contact with us and visit with us and give us their concerns. So until next week, we will see you then, until 2 weeks from now. So God bless. We're adjourned.